Hi there, my name is Jesse Perrault. I'm CEO of Soap Media. We're a thriving boutique digital marketing agency based out of Ottawa, Ontario, and our entire team is all across Canada, and we work for companies in North America. The whole point of this video is to give you as much value as possible as a potential business owner or someone in a marketing role on how to essentially master SEO and PPC advertising in 2023. So that is where the title comes in, Digital Marketing, How to Master SEO and PPC Advertising in 2023. As a boutique agency, family is a big part of our agency, so a few family names are added here. Ed, who's the founder and my business partner, and my wife here as well. So let's dig into the main agenda of the call. So search engine optimization, you will see the acronym SEO. It's the same thing. PPC, which is pay per click, is also the same as paid search advertising. And you're going to hear a lot of different names in our space, but SEO and paid advertising are two very different forms, but there's also a lot of similarities, which I will dig into. But I can say that most of our clients that thrive online are multi-channel, meaning they are investing in both SEO and forms of paid advertising. I'll set some key expectations around both. Spoiler alert, SEO is a much longer term expectation. If someone tells you otherwise, I caution you greatly. You'll hear me drive that point home. We've been doing this for over a decade and have a ton of clients on the page one of Google, but it does take time. Paid advertising, paid search advertising is a much faster way to generate leads, but there are different costs that you need to account for when considering paid search advertising. So let's start with SEO, search engine optimization. So that entails optimizing a website for specific keywords. And what a keyword is essentially what someone's typing into Google. You can call it a search query, but most people refer to them as keywords. So example sake, let's say you run a roofing company in Vancouver. And you know that as a roofing company in Vancouver, you want to come up on Google when someone types in roofing company Vancouver. That would be considered a keyword. So that is really key, no pun intended, to the entire process because you need to understand what you're even trying to rank for before you try to put in the necessary actions to accomplish that. So as you can see here, Yahoo, Bing, we mentioned some other search engines. Truthfully, at the end of the day, we try to win Google because the Google's algorithm has a lot of crossover to, Yahoo and Bing, the other search engines, not to mention from a market share perspective, Google absolutely dominates Bing and Yahoo. They're still worthwhile to look into, but at the end of the day, you want to win Google. So SEO is a proven way to increase traffic to your website and one of the most cost-effective online marketing channels, which is very true. Paid advertising is also very cost-effective, but there's a different cost structure to both because paid advertising has something called ad spend, which I will dig into. This is particularly true for B2B marketing as buyers will diligently research different options and tend to evaluate potential vendors from their websites before taking the next step of scheduling a product demo or calling sales. It is very, very beneficial to B2B. It's also very beneficial to B2C, truthfully. But in B2B, when you're dealing with ticket sales of $100,000 plus a year or potentially millions of dollars, that organic reputation carries a lot of weight and something to be considered. And what I mean by organic is where this is positioned versus an ad that says ad, which is paid advertising. So the easiest way to break down SEO, I always explain it like a puzzle. Look at it like a puzzle analogy, and the company that has more of a completed puzzle is going to typically win as long as it's done consistently. So let's say I'll go back to let's say that roofing example, and you have 2/3 of your puzzle completed, but roofing company 2, which is not your company, has 1/3 of it completed consistently. Consistency is very key in SEO. You're likely going to win more favor with Google and therefore be a more probable search result that you're going to come up above your competition. To break it down further, without getting into too much technicality, look at it in two pillars. And there are technically other pillars inside of these, but we don't need to go into the details. But look at it as on page and off page. These are the two core pillars, if you will. So on-page SEO relates to the optimization of your site's content and code for target keywords, where off-page SEO relates to the optimization of links pointing to your site. And you might say, well, what links? And I will dig deeper into that. So in summary, SEO is not a quick traffic strategy, and I referenced that already, and I cannot drive that point home enough. If someone's telling you that in a couple of months they can get you to page 1 of Google via SEO, search engine optimization, they don't have your best interests in mind. We've had companies invest with us for over 7 years, and they constantly increase their investment. Many of those companies had to wait over a year before they got to page 1 of Google. And that's because we do something called white hat SEO, which is essentially the ethical version of SEO. There's also something called black hat SEO, which is the unethical version and essentially manipulation of Google that can cause some major concerns and issues for your business in the long term. So it takes good content, sound SEO practices, and time to establish trust with Google. It's a long-term investment. Increasing your website rankings for specific keywords related to your product and creating content that users like will generate traffic and leads for years to come. It's very true. A lot of what Google has developed in their algorithm is tailored to the user and the consumer. So you'll see, having a fast loading website, having really good, beneficial, value-filled content on your site, which is for the user, is also for Google. At the end of the day, Google wants the best searches to come up at the top, and you need to give them that. So on page and off page. Now, 12 keys of on page. So let's talk about the on page SEO pillar here. So it relates to the optimization of your site's content and code for target keywords. This is sourced by Backlinko. So Backlinko is a great website. Brian Dean has done a phenomenal job. He's like the Anil Patel. Those are two big names in the SEO space, and rightfully so. They've built incredible resources and have a lot of information available. So feel free to check them out as well. So number 1, 12 keys for on page. Find the right keywords. I think very similarly to off page, but you need to know your keywords. So one of the first things that we do outside of tracking and being able to set up the tracking for clients, for any new clients, is determining that keyword list. What do you want to rank for? And when we determine the keywords, we look for a couple things in particular. So it's typically keywords that are relevant to your business. You want people who are typing in something that's relevant, meaning there's a purchase intent for your service or product. We also look at search volume, that it's searched upon enough, so you want enough relevant traffic. And lastly, competition. You want to pick and choose your battles. If you're going for a very competitive keyword, our software allows us to see which ones are more competitive than others. We pick and choose the battles. If you're going up against Bell or Rogers, you're talking billions of dollars, if not millions of dollars, at minimum, hundreds of millions into something like SEO. You don't want to pick that battle. Start your title tag with keywords. So behind the site behind your website, there's a bunch of code, and we call that metadata. The metadata is very important for Google's crawling abilities to take a look at your site, as also what shows up in the search engine. So when you do a search, you'll see the title and the description. That's metadata. You want to have the keyword in that because of something called RankBrain, which is a component of Google's algorithm. And it will essentially bold that search. And if you're searched or clicked on more, let's say someone types in Roofers Vancouver, and you're clicked on more than the guy above you, they might consider swapping you out. So you want to put the keywords in there, especially the title tag. Drop your keywords in the first paragraph. You want to make sure the keywords are in the content as well. Use SEO-friendly URLs. A lot of companies don't optimize their URLs, and what that's referring to is, let's say it's roofingvancouver.ca or .com slash 123 blog and a bunch of gibberish. That's not telling Google much when it could be //blog 12 ways to save on your next roofing project. Example sake, you can put keywords in what's called the slug or that URL. So make sure your URLs of your website are friendly. Post long engaging content. Google says they don't look at character count when it comes to content, which is true. However, historically, even through single variant testing here at Soap Media, and if you look anywhere, you're going to see that typically longer content, ideally evergreen, meaning it's not going to lose relevancy tomorrow. It's going to be applicable for a long time. evergreen long content. I would say at least 1,000 words. In most cases, you're going to do better at getting that content to rank in Google. Optimize your images. This is referring to a couple things technically. One is the size of the images. Every time someone comes to your website, if your images, and I see this all the time, if someone comes to your website and your images are, let's say, a megabyte in size, that is, I've seen 5 megabytes inside. I've seen some pretty crazy cases. Every time those have to be loaded, and you want to have faster load times on your website. It's a big factor when it comes to SEO. And the other one is alt text and alt tags. You want to make sure those are applied to the images, which is more for accessibility purposes, but Google cares about those things. Boost site speed. The optimize your images falls directly into that. There's a lot of other components of improving site speed. You know, your server, where you're hosted, unused JavaScript. There's a lot of code components there that I won't dig too much into, but you want to make sure your site's loading fast. If you want a free tool to validate how fast your site's loading, you can go to our site at soapmedia.ca and try our site audit tool, and it will give you some feedback on how your site's loading. Now, take advantage of the H1, H2, H3 hierarchy. So this kind of falls back under the title tag. It's more metadata, essentially. It's H1. If you could prioritize anything, it's your H1 tag. It's very, very important. So make sure that that's optimized and ideally has the keyword or what you're trying to rank a page for. Use internal and outbound links, also referred to as external links. So every website, you have the ability to link. Let's say you have a blog on, 12 tips to hire the best roofing company in Vancouver. I'm just going to stick with that example. And in that blog, you want to link different methods of doing a roof. You know, maybe a tin roof, a traditional roof, metal, I don't know. But you can then link those to individual service pages, and we call that internal. So linking pages strategically on your site is a good way to reinforce what we call cornerstone content. And cornerstone content is essentially the one you're really trying to rank for. So you can create blogs that are relevant to one of your services and then link some of those words to that service page, and Google can pick up on that and consider the service page that you're trying to rank with greater weight because of your internal linking. External links are a really good point to reference as well, any credible source or potential sources. Don't go crazy with them, but it is a good practice to reference and have some external links if you are talking about something very specific. It's any sort of reference. If you go through high school or college or university, references are a good thing. Just don't go crazy with them. Use responsive design. So as I mentioned to you, the user experience is critical to Google's algorithm. Your site plays a huge role in that. At the end of the day, it's your site that you're trying to rank. So you want to make sure that that website is tested on tablets, on different mobile devices, on a desktop, on a laptop, computer, and that responsiveness is critical, because if it's broken and people can't click things they need to, or they're having a hard time navigating, that's a big problem. Google can see that if the user can see that, and that's going to hurt you. Consider long tail keywords. So as I mentioned to you, a keyword is what someone types into Google, roofers Vancouver. A long tail keyword is typically less competitive and is often an opportunity for a company. So that could be, the best roofing company in Vancouver that focuses on tin roofs or tin roofing. If that's the case, that's a super long tail keyword, but I guarantee you a lot of people don't have content specifically developed around that, and it's a much easier chance to rank. It might only get 10 or 20 searches a month, but when you start building that out, it accumulates, and before you know it, you have hundreds of thousands of new visitors and millions of dollars coming into your company. Boost your content with relevant images and videos. One thing I always tell anybody is that today content is, nobody reads. We're like goldfish, and I think social media and even just digital marketing in general, the dark side of it is we're trained to expect immediate gratification. So images and videos keep our attention. We don't read, we scan. I can't drive that point home enough. We scan, or we want to consume information as quick as possible in the most efficient way. There's more information, more content now than there ever will be, and tomorrow there's going to be more than today. So keep that in mind and make sure that you're catering to, and a simple way to do it too I mean, you're not the sample size in all cases, but a simple way to vet that is, would you actually read this if you were in the consumer shoes? Start there and just make sure it's kind of goldfish proof, so to speak, because we all are kind of like that. So here's a little bit of a more detail on them. I don't need to read these exactly verbatim, but finding the right keywords, making sure the competition, as I mentioned, is nothing too high. You typically will need some software like Moz or SEMrush to accomplish that, which are tools that we utilize. Title tag is the most important on-page SEO factor. Title tag and H1 are both very critical. The closer the keyword is to the beginning of the title tag, typically carries more weight. So your title tag typically has about 63 characters. Anything above that creates what's called pagination in the search engine. Now, you want your brand in there. So if it's roofingvancouver.ca, that's perfect because it's a keyword and a brand term, which is a little SEO trick in of itself. But you want to make sure that let's say your company is abc.ca and you sell tin roofing. You want to put tin roofing first and then your brand name, because the first keyword is going to carry the most weight, which is what you're trying to rank for. You'll naturally rank for your brand or your company name. It's much easier than that competitive keyword. Drop your keyword in the first paragraph. Your keyword should appear in the first 100 to 150 words. So first paragraph on your site, you want to make sure that keyword's in there. Keyword density used to be a thing of the past, where the more you put keywords in there, the more you're going to rank. Google learned over time to change their algorithm to that. So be mindful. Don't spam your keyword. Put it in there in meaningful ways. So if it's tin roofing, don't put it in every sentence, but definitely make sure it's in that first paragraph. Use SEO friendly URLs. Your title tag is the most important on-page SEO factor. In general, the closer keywords are being in the title tag, so that's carried from the other one. But SEO friendly URLs are essentially the slug, which is going to be the your domain, your website / then the information. Very key. Post long engaging content. The posts that are 1,900 words long will rank better than shorter posts. The safe bet there, truthfully, is 1,000 words plus. Even pushing 2,000 plus. If I always say too, the content has to be of value. If you're just writing content for the sake of word count and you're just starting to blabber on, don't do that. Make sure it's valuable content. But if you can aim for 1,000 plus words, ideally this 1,900 word mark has been proven to be quite effective, and keep that value, then 100% you should do it. Now, next we have the optimizer images. Make sure at least one image file name includes your target keyword, and your target keyword is part of your image alt text. So I mentioned the alt text earlier, but I will add that the file name of the image you upload to your site is taken into account. I would say 95% of people just upload image 4643211, right? It's what we do. It's it's typically saved as some sort of image file with IMG and a bunch of numbers. Google can read that. So if you have the opportunity to upload something that says tin roofing example Vancouver, you can title the file that. It doesn't take a lot of extra work, and it's an extra piece of that puzzle that I referenced that you want to make sure you have. Site speed. Google has stated on record that page loading speeds and SEO ranking signal. You can boost your speed by using a CDN, compressing images, switching to faster hosting, everything I mentioned. Take advantage of the H1, H2, H3 hierarchy. Focus primarily on the H1. You definitely want to, if you can, I always say, there's hundreds of factors to Google's algorithm, and I'm talking about a lot of the most critical ones here. I would say H1 is more important than the other ones, but make sure the hierarchy makes sense of how you're using them, and make sure the keywords at least in the H1 at bare minimum. If you can make it as optimized as possible, the H2, H3 do it. Use internal outbound links. Outbound and inbound linking is critical to a healthy SEO article. Internal linking refers to linking to other pages on your site. External are to others. And I referenced already how that's going to function in the best use case scenario. Responsive design. As of 2015, and it's crazy we're in 2023 already, it's been a long time Google started penalizing mobile unfriendly sites. In 2015, it's kind of shifted over the years too, of less you're just essentially unfavored in Google's eyes at this point if your site's not mobile friendly. Google does have a mobile friendly test. If you just type in mobile friendly test on Google, it's usually the first result, and you can see if your site passed that test or not. If you want more detail though, just go to soapmedia.ca and try our site audit tool, and you're going to get a lot more information than that. Consider long tail keywords. I already referenced that. You know, if it's something short like tin roofing Vancouver, it's going to be very competitive. You might be able to win the battle, but you might want to consider adding some more variations, longer phrases in there. And questions, by the way, are another big thing. If you can build an FAQ with the most common questions, you're going to do very well. We have software here that actually we can feed it a core keyword like roofing Vancouver, and it will pull up the most popular asked questions, and we know to build content around that for clients. Boost your content with relevant images, videos, diagrams. This references bounce rate, so that's people going and leaving right away is considered a bounce. They're not engaging. There's no sessions, and increases time on site. These are two critical user interaction ranking factors. So you want people to go to your site and not leave right away, and you want them to engage, click on different things, spend more time. Google's looking at all of that. All right, so SEO methodology, initiate, plan, fix, deliver, improve. So research phase is always where you start. So that's the keyword research. Start off, are we asking, are we doing the right things? Maybe you've not done much SEO, maybe you've already done some SEO, but it's always good to just start saying, have what we've done to date actually, is that right? Is this where we should be? Understand your business strategy and tactics. Most business owners understand their business, but there's always good questions to ask. Do an in-depth audit, competitive analysis, opportunities, risk. You can do a SWOT analysis as well if you want, just to get some ideas flowing. And that all falls into SEO plan. So that's the setup phase, doing more of the right thing. We all know there's a lot of things we could do, but it's about doing the right thing. So reviewed strategy, you have an activation plan, suggested resources, figuring out who's going to do what, making sure you have the right processes, and then figure out what you're forecasting in your ROI estimation. You want to have a good game plan. A lot of people in general, whether it's business or just in personal life, they don't put a plan together, and they don't forecast, and they don't try to strive towards a particular figure. You could try to quantify it as well. Fix, this is the catch-up phase, fixing issues with maximum impact. There will be, I can guarantee it, issues with your website, with your SEO. I'm sure we could look at any agency or any marketing professional and find issues with the work they've done. Same with us. We're not perfect, but it's about figuring out what the main issues are. And as it mentions here, maximizing the impact, figuring out what you really want to prioritize. I can tell you right now, prioritize your website from the design, responsiveness, the load times. Make sure you have all the necessary content mapped to your keywords. Make sure you have the proper metadata, titles, descriptions, H1s, and make sure, as we'll get into here soon, the off-page pillar, which is backlinking. So you'll see here, better analytics, technical update, content upgrade, link building, social media management. Social media does have social signals, which plays a role in SEO. So if people are talking about you on Facebook, Instagram, you're getting a lot of engagement. It is taken, and if you're being referenced and people are going from social media to your site, that's a good signal. I wouldn't say it's a top weighted one, but it's carried more weight in in 2023 than it has in the past. So it is one to consider. Cleanup and penalty fixes. So links coming to your site from another site, you want to make sure you don't have any inappropriate websites linking to. Most companies don't even know who's linking to them, which is a big problem. You want to clean that up, and we do something what's called a disavow. Conversion fixes, you want to track, you want to first off track a conversion. So if someone's calling you, filling out a form, or emailing you, you want to track that, but you also want to make sure you have the least amount of resistance for them to engage. I always say you have the best marketing agency in the world, but if your site isn't converting, meaning turning traffic into leads, you're in trouble. Same thing if you can't turn leads into sales, you need to have the sales component taken care of in the business. Deliver, build-up phase, taking business to the next level. This is where it gets fun. So this is where you start training and having a process upgrade, execution of inbound marketing campaigns, which we'll talk about, technology upgrade only if necessary, and improve, integration phase, lift the game, and reset benchmarks. Insights reports to validate learning, recommendations for ongoing campaigns, and digital marketing management. You get to a certain point where you have something that works and you're always striving to do better. And analytics and data is going to feed a lot of that. So that's a really big core piece to all of it. Now, the SEO process, initiate analysis, you always start with analysis. You do your keyword research and analysis. Look at your competition. There's so much you can find out about competition. I always say just because they're doing something doesn't mean you should do it, but it's always worthwhile to look at. Sitemap, XML, RSS feed, these are some core technical pieces. Most sites will have them. Your developer should set them up. But if not, make sure you have a sitemap, XML, RSS feed inclusion, as well as a robots text file. Search engine directory submissions. There's a lot of good directories out there that you can you can submit your business to, which is technically a link. A lot of them don't carry weight, but a good amount also will. And it's also just good reach to get more business. Directory submissions are still valuable in SEO. Not as valuable as they used to be necessarily, but they're worth doing if you can. Social book marketing or social book marketing. It's less of a effective means than it used to be. But once again, it's something, if you can do it, do it. Blogs, press release creation, I would put more weight on that personally to get good content developed. That's a consistent thing. You always hear content is king, very critical. Also, PR or press releases give you, if you have a very worthy topic, let's say you have an acquisition or you have a brand new service that's groundbreaking, push PR and have a really good page on your site, because PR is going to get it out to the masses, and other companies might say, wow, they have permeable paving. We've only ever heard of asphalt paving. Let's talk about permeable paving, what this company is doing. That's a way to get what's called a backlink, which is the off-page pillar. And that's very, very critical. You want backlinks to drive the authority of your site. Article submissions, another good practice. Link popularity, SERP report, initial analysis. That's more or less the SERP report, and the link popularity are more or less the final piece to make sure that you're getting the right backlinks and you're understanding to what the search engine entails. SERP stands for search engine result page. You want to understand where you are today, where you want to go, and also where the competition is and what they're doing. If you can do it better, have more of that puzzle completed, you're going to be doing very well. So in summary, it's not a quick traffic strategy, as I've mentioned. I can't stress that enough. At the end of the day, you want to get backlinks, so other sites linking to you. The best way to obtain it is through content. If you have something that's PR worthy, push it out there, get other sites to link. You can also go, there's a lot of different methods. There's the skyscraper method and a few others where you identify relevant websites. Our software can scan thousands of websites. We find which ones are relevant to a client, and we figure out the best means of getting a backlink. That could be as simply as finding a broken link on a blog for a site. We reach out to that website and say, hey, you have a broken link. Would you mind replacing it with our client's link? 9 times out of 10, principles of reciprocity kick in. They say, yeah, absolutely. I didn't even know I had a broken link. You're helping me, I'll help you. So that's SEO in a nutshell. Long-term investment, very, very effective. There are other pieces. If you ever have questions and want to engage a little bit further on what those are, we could dig into it, but those are some of the key pillars. Paid search advertising is the placement of text ads in search engines such as Google, Bing, and Yahoo. This is an extremely effective advertising channel because you can ascertain which keywords trigger ads, enable you to capture prospects that are in the later stages of the buying cycle. So if you do a Google search, you're going to typically see search ads at the top, and there are different components. There's display and video, which is YouTube because Google owns YouTube. So there's different components of search advertising. I'll also mention too that meta advertising, Facebook, Instagram ads, and LinkedIn advertising, TikTok advertising, these are also forms of paid advertising. We primarily focus on Google and meta advertising for our clientele. That's kind of our wheelhouse, and we have very refined processes to get results on those platforms. So let's dig into paid search advertising. Get on the first page of Google fast. So you might say too, well, wait, if I was doing SEO, search engine optimization, I'm coming up organically, which organically is not the ads. Why would I do paid advertising? The first thing I always say is if you're doing paid advertising, you're losing business to the SEO. And if you're just doing SEO, you're losing business to the paid advertising. So how big do you want to be? And if it's profitable to do paid advertising, do it. and it's very commonly profitable. It depends on a lot of factors. But the nice thing with paid advertising is this is a much faster way to get results in month 1, month 2. Usually the first 3 months, depending on the business, there's going to be some leads, some revenue generated from paid advertising. It's much faster than SEO, which is 8 months plus, sometimes a year plus to get first page rankings. Depends on your business, your industry, your keywords, and where you currently are positioned for the SEO side. So quick way to get on page 1 of Google, very fast. You just pay to get there. You pay Google to do that, which is ad spend, but you also invest in a company like us to make the ad spend work for you. Maintain your reputation with paid search ads. Users will see that you have paid to be on the first page of Google. It's a good way to get up there if you're not there organically or if you want further reach. People who click on pay-per-click ads are ready to buy. Most often, a lot of people think, I personally don't click on ads very often because I know, they're ads, but most ads are still relevant. So sometimes it's possible. And a lot of people think nobody clicks on ads, but we generate millions and millions of dollars a year, every single year for companies from paid advertising. They work. People have in-market intent to buy. Pay-per-click ads provide measurable results. SEO does as well, but the nice thing is we can correlate when you have proper tracking how many leads came from that or how much revenue. If you sell products online, we can correlate direct revenue. If you have service, we can still correlate revenue as well. So we can say, you spent $10,000 on Google ads, we generated $100,000 this month. So you'd have what's called a 10x ROAS, which is return on ad spend. Very, very measurable, and that's what I love about our space. We have the luxury of measuring things. Pay-per-click ads improve brand recognition. Great way to get brand recognition. You could also bid on your own brand. You might already have competitors who are running ads above your name. So you run ABC company, and a competitor could be coming up before you, and you could actually be losing business to them right now. You can also reverse that and target your competitors to run ads above their names. Sometimes it's worthwhile until they start outbidding you. So that's where management with an agency like us would come into play. It's great for local search as well. So keywords are key in paid search marketing. So, the first step in any search marketing campaign is, including paid search, is keyword research. So as I mentioned earlier, it's applicable to both SEO and paid advertising. So before you do anything, start with keyword research, very critical. So 3 tips for building paid search keyword list. Use negative keywords to your advantage. What a negative keyword is essentially when you're filtering out the terms that are not applicable. Most companies waste probably about 75-80% of their budget to irrelevant clicks. That could be, you're selling roofing and someone types in cheap roofing, free roofing, roofing do-it-yourself, roofing guide, roofing courses. There's different mentalities of how people search. They're looking for something that's cheap or free. They're looking for education. They're looking for do-it-yourself. These people are likely not to buy. You're wasting your money. So use what's called negative keywords to protect yourself and protect your budget. There's many times investment with us is greater than ad spend because we know how to get that ad spend to generate results, where if you don't do these things, you're going to be in trouble. Don't go too broad. You can go somewhat broad off the start, but eventually you want to narrow things in. And in paid advertising, there's something called match types. It's changed over the years, from broad, phrase, exact. But depending on those match types, you could be opening yourself up to a can of worms. If you put in roofing Vancouver as broad, whatever comes before or after that, whatever someone types in before or after, you're going to come up. Your ads are going to come up. They're going to get clicked on. So you want to be careful with how you target those keywords, which comes down to those match types. Stay relevant always. Another useful tip is to make sure your keywords match the text of the landing pages. So the number one thing I would say for anyone getting into paid advertising is a metric called quality score. And without getting into too much detail, it's essentially expected click-through rate, landing page experience, and ad relevance. And what that means is what someone types into Google, the ad they see in the page they go to, if that's more relevant than other advertisers, that quality score goes up. You become substantially cheaper in the auction. You get way more traffic for the same dollar and more relevant traffic typically if your quality score goes up. So make sure that you're matching everything. You're not, someone typing in you sell blue beach towels, you're not sending them to the white beach towel page in the ad. You want to make sure what they type in, what they see, what they go to lines up. Very, very critical. So keyword research, start there. Make sure you have good ad copy. Today's day for search ads, at least, Meta is different, still manual in some sense, but for Google search ads, you feed it headlines and descriptions, and Google's going to show what it feels is most relevant to the user. So give some variety, but make sure your ad copy references the keyword. It's relevant, very, very critical. Once again, you don't want people, typing in like blue beach towel and they see a video game or something like that. It's got to be relevant. The landing page needs to be ideal to convert the traffic, and you want to make sure you have a strong campaign that's set up and all the tracking and testing done before you ever go live, because you want to have that data. All right, remarketing. Remarketing is a clever way to connect with visitors to your website who may not have had an immediate purchase or inquiry. If I go to the next slide here, I might say retargeting as well. So remarketing is also referred to as retargeting. It's kind of one of those words that people say, well, remarketing is for email, retargeting is for paid ads. People use it loosely. So remarketing is when someone goes to your site, they don't make a purchase for whatever reason. They're going through a due diligence process. They look at you, they look at 3 other roofing companies. I'm just going to stick with that analogy. 3 other roofing companies, and they decide that, let's not make a decision yet. Then you have the opportunity to show your ads to them in both search, display, video. You can even do this on Facebook, Instagram, any platform, LinkedIn. You can just keep following them, and you probably experienced this yourself. Remarketing is a very effective practice. So it improves response rates by as much as 600% over traditional banner ad targeting. Very, very effective. They've shown interest once. If they're going to click on that ad, first off, it's cheap brand awareness because you only pay if they click on the ad. If they click on it, then there's greater intent. They're coming back a second time, maybe even a third time or more, which shows more intent. Target prospects that have already shown an interest in your product, as I mentioned, increases brand recall. Like I just said, it's cheap awareness. People remember that you exist, and when they're making that decision, let's say you're looking for a barbecue and you don't make a decision, you looked at Canadian Tire and a bunch of other businesses, you're on the Weather Network trying to figure out what you're going to do this weekend, if it's going to be nice. And you see that same barbecue, and now you can add an enticement factor and say it's 10% off. A little trick. Whoever's watched the video this far is a little trick. If you have the ability to wait before making a purchase, add things to your cart and begin the checkout process, but then leave if you don't need that purchase right away. You can sometimes abuse other companies' remarketing practices, and that you might get hit with a promo like a week later. Just a little trick. It's a very effective practice for that company, but if you can wait, you can actually reverse this around as a consumer and leverage it for yourself to get discounts. But for the company, they're thriving on this, truthfully. Accelerate the purchase cycle, offer incentives for freemium customers to convert to paying subscribers. So that's in, like a SaaS model, or you can also give discounts right at the end to get them to convert to buy from you. So remarketing benefits. 96% of individuals leave a website before converting. It's very rare that someone just goes to a site and they go, I'm buying. That's very rare. We need to nurture people today, and we call that the customer journey. So understanding and mapping out what that customer journey looks like from point A, which is first visit, to last visit, or purchase. They might come back and be repeat customers and such. You need to map that out. So remarketing is critical. And this is why I say, SEO and paid advertising is important. We have clients that do SEO, and someone might type in, click on that. Then they might see a search ad. Then they might see a video on YouTube or a display ad on the Weather Network from Google Ads. Click that. Then they might see you on Facebook and Instagram, and that's where they buy. Understanding that, the days of just people coming and buying are pretty much gone. 49% of individuals visit a site 2 to 4 times before they actually make a purchase, which just furthers that point. 70% online shopping carts are abandoned over 70% of the time. So if someone's going to buy something, they add it to the cart. Over 70% of people, and I think that number actually is continuing to increase, abandon. 60% of customers don't buy, or customers don't buy over 60% of the items left in shopping carts. So there is a huge amount of money out there for grabs if you remarket properly. Remarketing is very, very critical. Why you should use remarketing. And you're going to see here 2 of these reference retargeting and remarketing. And we want to point that out is because remarketing and retargeting are loosely used. It's essentially the same thing. The idea is you're re-attracting someone. So 11% of brands use remarketing to gain their competitors' customers. 56% of companies use retargeting to gain customers, and 43% of companies use retargeting to increase brand awareness. There's an ample amount of room and opportunity out there for everyone, and it's just super, super effective when it's done right. But if you're not doing it at all, the first right thing to do is to do it. All right, so in conclusion, if you've watched this 40-minute video, hopefully there's some value in there. There's a lot more details we can go into, but digital marketing is not a task for the faint of heart. I've been in this space for over a decade, and I have a lot of team members that are much smarter than I am at this. And we're always learning, we're always growing. And as a business owner, it's a challenge to stay on top of it. And it's very cost effective to invest into an agency, or at the very least, just start doing some of these things. I think with COVID too, our business has we're very fortunate in the case that our business has grown tremendously, as a lot of business owners realize how much business is online. A lot of people have a ridiculous amount of screen time, but it's about getting in front of your customer the right way, on Google, through ads, through SEO, on Facebook and Instagram, making sure you're coming up the right way to the right people at the right time. That is a skill, and it takes a lot of time. So it's not for the faint of heart. It does require extensive knowledge, consistent effort. We're always learning, renewing our certifications. At the end of this, if you would like to go deeper and have that discussion, we do offer our discovery calls, which is a 30-40 minute call with myself to ask you very specific questions and give you some thorough recommendations. And at the end of the day, all of this is to give as much value as possible. We have a great deal of knowledge. Our whole team is very knowledgeable. Many team members on our team are 20 plus years experience in what they've been doing. And at this point in 2023, the fact that the internet's been around longer than that is quite a remarkable thing. So if you guys have any questions, please reach out to me directly. You can reach out at jesse@soapmedia.ca, and we'd love the opportunity to potentially explore working together.